You're watching the home of the Super Bowl, America's sports leader, NBC.
This is the NFL on NBC with host Greg Gumbel and co-host Ahmad Rashad.
The theme of this day is fresh starts. In Foxborough, the San Diego Chargers under new head coach Kevin Gilbride face the New England Patriots with new head coach Pete Carroll. Last season, Bledsoe's team went to the Super Bowl. This year, they'd like to take one more step. A fresh start for the Oilers, who left Houston for Tennessee. They open today against a team that knows something about moving around, the Oakland Raiders. Last year, Jeff George was saying all the wrong things to his former Atlanta coach, June Jones. Almost a year later, George has a fresh start as the new quarterback of the Oakland Raiders. Meanwhile, one of Jeff George's former teams, the Indianapolis Colts, opened their season in Miami against Jimmy Johnson's Dolphins. Last year didn't go as well as Johnson would have liked. Just an 8-8 record, no postseason berth. The second half of our doubleheader features a great AFC West matchup between the Denver Broncos and the Kansas City Chiefs. John Elway is looking forward to a fresh start after last year's bitter playoff loss to Jacksonville. Both the Seattle Seahawks and New York Jets are looking forward to fresh starts when they meet at the Kingdome, especially the Jets. 1-15 last year, but now led by Bill Parcells. They're coming off an unbeaten preseason, which has raised expectations in New York. For the first time, the NFL opens in August. The 78th NFL season kicks off 1 hour from now. Hi, everyone. I'm Greg Gumbel. Welcome. Along with Cris Collinsworth, Joe Gibbs, and Sam Wyche. Ahmad Rashad will join us shortly. And Sam, we again extend a welcome to you. It's nice to have you here in the studio with us.
Thank you, Greg and Ahmad. And Cris, it's good to be back with you, reuniting our Cincinnati days. And Joe, I can't tell you how happy I am to be on the same side, not coaching against you.
All right, gentlemen, we are all well aware of the circumstances surrounding the death of Princess Diana, and we all share in the sorrow and sense of loss that's being felt worldwide. Our colleagues at NBC News will have an update at halftime. Now, today one in the National Football League, and we begin with one player who will not play this opening day. Junior Seau of the Chargers did not make the trip to New England. He's still recovering from arthroscopic knee surgery. He should return next week against New Orleans. The status of Seattle wide receiver Joey Galloway will not officially be determined until warm-ups. The Seahawks play the Jets in a 4 o'clock game, and we're told that it's likely Galloway will start despite a sprained foot. Zach Thomas of the Dolphins is inactive for today's game against the Colts, still not fully recovered from a broken fibula. And according to Chiefs coach Marty Schottenheimer, rushbacker Derek Thomas is unlikely to play in Denver today, although a final determination won't be made until warm-ups. Our game reports start with the Broncos and the Chiefs. Many of you will see that game as the second half of our NBC doubleheader. Let's check in with Paul Maguire and Phil Simms.
All right, thank you, Greg. We're back in Denver, where 8 months ago we saw one of the biggest upsets in playoff history when the Jacksonville Jaguars came in here and beat the Super Bowl favorite Denver Broncos in an exciting game, a lot of big plays. What it did, it left the city of Denver in total shock. And everybody wants to know, the media, they want to know, Paul, did the players get over the shock of that big playoff loss?
Yeah, they did, because all they're talking about now is this game today. They're not talking about the past, except one guy. When I talked to Michael Dean Perry, I looked him right in the eye and I said, Michael Dean, you have to tell me the truth. How long did it take you to get over that game? He said 24 hours.
You know, he's like you. He has a short memory. He's got something in common with you. But Mike Shanahan, it took him a while to get over that loss. He said a couple months. But I think the interesting thing, 13-3 the Denver Broncos were. And what did they do? They didn't stand pat. They made a lot of changes. 7 new starters for today, 4 on offense, 3 on defense. The big differences, Neil Smith and Keith Traylor, defensive linemen who played for Kansas City last year, will be rushing the quarterback for Kansas City this year. Kansas City, they didn't stand pat either. A lot of changes on their team.
There was 11 new starters on their team, possibly 12. That's if Derek Thomas doesn't play. But they went out and got Elvis Grbac, who from the San Francisco 49ers, knows the West Coast offense. He told us last night the terminology didn't change. Andre Rison, they went out and got him a receiver. He's had some problems in the National Football League, Phil, but they say Andre Rison has had his best camp.
That, and they wanted the leader on offense. I think they've got it in Elvis Grbac. The team elected him captain a couple days ago, so he should lead his team. They're talking about getting the ball down the field. We'll see if they can do that. All the changes, see how they come in place today, Greg. Back to you.
All right, guys, thank you very much. We'll hear from the former Chief and current Bronco, Neil Smith, just a little later. And we're talking about all these changes, particularly in Kansas City. How'd you like to be the guy who has to block Neil Smith today?
And you know who it is? It's Trezell Jenkins of the Chiefs, and he probably is their worst pass blocker. So Neil Smith has an opportunity to really come up big. Those guys were talking about Elvis Grbac throwing the ball, throwing it down the field. I'd like to see that from Marty Schottenheimer. I don't know if I'm going to believe it until I actually see it on the football field. Sam, a lot of changes, though, in Kansas City.
And 11 of them for the Kansas City Chiefs. 2 of them involve safety. Second-year players Jerome Woods and Reggie Tongue. And they go up against John Elway, whose bicep tendon seems to have reattached to that bone. Look out.
Speaking of John Elway and the Broncos take the field today with something to prove, Joe?
The Denver Broncos, best home field team in football. They can't lose to anybody at home, can they? Kansas City? Oh, Jacksonville. Jacksonville. What a memory. I've seen that kind of a memory-motivated team for the entire year. I think they're going to come out fired up at home.
All right, guys, another of our early games today is Oakland at Tennessee, the debut of NFL football in Tennessee and the Raider debut of Jeff George. For a report, we go to Don Criqui and Jim Mora at the Liberty Bowl.
Thanks, Greg. New quarterbacks are the story here in Memphis. Jeff George, now the starter for the Oakland Raiders, did not have a good preseason. But all the Raider coaches and players, Jim, say that they're very pleased with what he's got and what he's been showing this week in practice.
Well, George is a terrific passer. He's got a cannon for an arm. He's extremely accurate. But he's been with 2 teams, and they haven't been winners. And he's got a good cast now in Oakland, and it's time for him to step up and show that he can lead a team to a championship.
And there's been a changing of the guard of the quarterback position with the Oilers. The highly rated Steve McNair, in his 3rd year, now steps up to the starting job. He, too, has not had a very impressive preseason, but they say he's practiced great this week when they put the whole offense in.
Well, the Oilers were 0-4, and both he and the offense really struggled. And what the Raiders have got to do is they've got to take Eddie George, stop him, stop the Oiler running game, and make McNair beat him. Is he ready to do that? I don't think so.
Hot and humid here in the Mid-South, so it could wear on the Raiders. Now back to you, Greg, in New York.
All right, guys, thank you. So the ball is squarely in Steve McNair's court in Oilerland. We're all fond of saying that preseason means nothing, but can he handle it?
Well, I don't know. Steve McNair last year was very sharp as the starting quarterback for the Oilers, and I think the natural assumption was it would just carry over. They got rid of Chris Chandler. He's now in Atlanta. Give him the ball, and it has just fallen apart for that offense. 1 offensive touchdown so far during the course of the preseason. And I think maybe part of the reason they brought in a new offensive coordinator in Les Steckel, and it just has not worked.
Joe.
Jerry Rome was that offensive coordinator last year, one of the best guys I've ever seen working with young quarterbacks. And if you noticed last year, Steve McNair, I thought, was making progress. Hey, they shuffled him out the door. Jerry Rome, the coordinator, changed things, and now all of a sudden he has a terrible preseason. I think preseason does mean something for a young quarterback. He was unproductive. It'll be interesting to see if he can turn that around.
Sam, you're Joe Bugle. You're the new head coach in Oakland. What do you tell your new quarterback, Jeff George?
Well, let me pick up where Jim Mora and June Jones left off right here. Here's Jeff George. I'm looking him square in the eye right here. Now, look, you had a promising career. You're a #1 pick by the Colts. You came in there, won only 20 games in 4 years, got yourself suspended in Atlanta. Now you're a 3. It's your 3rd team, man. You've got to pick it up. Hey, turn your hat around when I'm talking to you. Now, listen, it's your 3rd time around. Focus in on this game. Focus in on this season. Let's have a good year.
Why is he talking to
He's crazier than Ditka.
Yeah.
He's crazier than Ditka.
The man is talking to a football. One of the big stories in the NFL on this opening weekend is Bill Parcells making his regular season debut with the New York Jets, who open later today in Seattle. Chris spoke with Parcells.
Did you take anything with you from the experience in New England?
Oh, yeah. A tremendous amount, Chris. Sure. Absolutely. You know, when you go, when we first went to New England, I mean, I can't tell you what it was like. We knew the team was going to be sold again. There was just total chaos in the organization. There was no structure. It was unbelievable. But just the experience of having to do that all and having to do it and be responsible for it, yeah, absolutely. It was a tremendous experience. And I made a lot of mistakes. It wasn't at all perfect. But what were we trying to do? The place is full. They got a good team. We're playing in the championship. That's what we were trying to do. So.
There is lots more of Chris's conversation with Bill Parcells later in the show. Let's go to Ahmad.
You remember that relationship that we used to have, baby? I'll never forget. It's been a long time. Anyway, even as the season gets underway less than an hour from now, there's already plenty of news around the NFL. With the latest, we bring in Will McDonough from Foxborough.
Thanks, Ahmad. Let's go right to Buffalo. There's a story going around that Bruce Smith has a new deal and a contract. I talked to owner Ralph Wilson this morning. He says that's not true. I do understand that during the week, the Bills did make a new offer to Bruce Smith and his agent Lee Steinberg on a new deal. They had 2 days to take it, and they turned it down. Maybe now they were going to change their mind. Let's talk about Kevin Green, formerly of the Carolina Panthers, now of the San Francisco 49ers. Carolina has sent a letter to San Francisco saying, even though we released him and even though you picked him up, he still owes us some money in fines and in game checks. And with the approval of the league, Carolina is going to go after Green, trying to get him to pay back approximately $500,000. The biggest name holdout still out there in the National Football League is Sean Gilbert of the Washington Redskins. I talked to GM Charlie Casserly last night. He said there's no movement with Sean Gilbert. Everything stays the same, and when Gilbert misses the game today, he loses $175,000. Let's move on to Pittsburgh, where the big story of the day is still Deion Sanders of the Cowboys. Last night, Cowboys personnel told me that Deion will start at cornerback today and wants to return punts. You know, a couple of weeks ago, Deion said that he was thinking of retiring. Well, that would be a surprise to me, because if he does retire, he would have to pay back $9 million in bonuses to the Cowboys. Also, there's a little bit of a mystery about Deion. What will he do tomorrow? I'm told he's going to go back to the Cincinnati Reds. And finally, like a miracle story of the preseason, John Elway's shoulder. We all heard about how Elway was injured in the first preseason game, tore a bicep muscle in his shoulder, and now miraculously he has no pain after 5 years. The reason? Doctors now believe that muscle was causing him the problem. He had tendinitis in it. Back to you, Ahmad.
All right, thanks, Will. John Elway, the legend continues. Here's a look at the rest of the show.
Still to come, Sam Wyche's visit with the Dolphins' Jimmy Johnson as Miami gets set to host Indianapolis. We'll hear from Broncos defensive end Neil Smith as he takes on his former team, the Kansas City Chiefs, today in Denver. Drew Bledsoe of the Patriots talks about his former coach in New England, Bill Parcells. And Cris Collinsworth talks to the new Jets head coach about his tenure in Foxborough.
Join us for America's most watched news magazine.
Dateline on NBC.
You're watching footage that's never been seen before. Actual nuclear bomb tests, airbursts, underwater explosions, even the bomb itself. In accordance with the Secretary of Energy's openness policy, these scenes and many more have just been declassified and are now available on home video.
We deal with classified footage all of the time, and I can tell you we've never seen anything like this.
Own this historic collection of video, detonations, troop tests, accidents, scientists caught unprepared, the shock waves, the tidal surges, all of it fully narrated. Order America's Atomic Bomb Test. If you enjoy history, weapons, or military aviation, we urge you to order now. There has been nothing like this before.
Call 1-800-493-9559 now to order this exciting, recently declassified footage of America's atomic bomb testing for only $19.95 plus $3.75 shipping and handling. That's 1-800-493-9559.
Taxi! Taxi! Yo! Cabman! Taxi! Giants boom, baby!
Can't follow your team from where you live?
Hey, is there a special hand signal that I don't know? I mean...
Now you can choose from up to 13 games a week. NFL Sunday Ticket. We've got your game.
Didn't I give you a 20?
Memorial Stadium in Baltimore is where the Ravens open their season in a late game against the Jacksonville Jaguars. For the game report, we go to Tom Hammond and Jim Kelly.
Ahmad, in a couple of hours, Rob Johnson will be here getting ready for his first NFL start. You know, when Mark Brunell went down with injury, everyone thought the Jaguars were finished. All Rob Johnson did was step in and lead Jacksonville to an unbeaten preseason, throwing 6 touchdown passes and compiling the best quarterback rating of anybody in the NFL during the preseason. So, Jim, I guess the question is, does that translate now that they're playing for real?
Well, number one, let's put it in proper perspective. Preseason is preseason. You can throw all those stats, all those impressive numbers out the window, because today it's the real deal, the real animal. What you're going to see today is a team he's going to be facing that knows it's his first start. So for Rob Johnson, this is a big step for him, not only for him, but for his team too. So we'll see what happens. But it's gonna be a tough road because they know that this is his first one.
As we talk to him, he has a lot of confidence in his ability, and more importantly, maybe his teammates have supreme confidence in him. Big game for Rob Johnson. Big game for Jim Kelly too. He's a rookie all over again. You remember your first NFL game as a player?
Oh, yeah, I sure do, against the New York Jets at Rich Stadium, and I was very, very nervous. As a matter of fact, my first trip was to the bathroom, and of course, you know, doing a little throwing up, but I was nervous.
Does not sound good, but just in case, here's the official NBC rookie analyst bucket. Come on.
Yeah, a little more than maybe we needed to know. By the way, because of Mark Brunell's durability, Johnson was the only backup quarterback who didn't take a single snap last year. Let's go over to Greg.
All right, Ahmad, thanks. Let's go back to one of our early games, Indianapolis at Miami. Both teams started out very well last year. Indy was 4-0, but barely made the playoffs. The Dolphins were 3-0 before losing to the Colts and watching their season come apart. Sam Wyche spoke to the Dolphins head coach, Jimmy Johnson.
If I wasn't able to accomplish being the very, very best, then I wouldn't have accepted this job. I wouldn't be here.
You came in here, this was your dream job a year ago. Does it seem like it's only been 1 year, or is it longer?
Well, let me back up. It's my dream job winning. Just working, it's not a dream job. But, you know, I think that we will win. And if we can make the kind of improvement I expect, I think that we'll be on schedule. We lost 3 players for the year, 2 outstanding special teams players, Kirby Dardar and Larry Izzo, and then Yatil Green, our #1 pick. Now, we had some other injuries. We had like 6 surgeries, and we had 2 broken legs. We had all kinds of things.
How are you, Jimmy? Are you healthy?
I'm fine. But, you know, we'll get most all those players back, you know, for at least maybe the 2nd or 3rd regular season game.
Is it fair to say that in light of all of this, injuries and just developing younger players, that you may have to take a step backwards in your step forward towards winning?
No, I really don't think so, Sam. I think that because of the quality of the players that we were able to bring in, I think these 2 drafts have been outstanding, 2 of the better drafts I've ever been around. So I think because of the quality of the 2 drafts, I don't see us taking a step backwards. I think that we'll actually be even more exciting with the team that we have this year because we've got some outstanding guys that can make plays. Again, you know, I'm having fun as long as we win. And it gets to the point that we're not winning, then I'm not going to be having fun. Then I'll be sitting over there where you are, and I'll be interviewing somebody.
Oh, man, don't give me... I'm just trying to learn this. A couple of years ago, I remember you came down and interviewed me, and it was like you were going to take my job. You're not going to do it again.
No, Sam.
And we're going to work through the practice schedule just as it is on the board, starting with Cal's. We'll go from Cal's.
Sam, the Glazers would like to see you.
Right now?
Yeah, right now. Bring your phone.
All right, that's enough here. That's enough. Hey, there's going to be some changes around here.
You know, I'm like a raw rookie here, and any advice now, not from me because I really am going to handle this beautifully, but any advice for Cris Collinsworth? The man is having lots of problems in the studio. And
yeah, you know, Cris needs to lighten up. Yeah. You know, Cris sometimes comes down hard on these players and especially on the coaches. You know, Cris can be quite controversial, and you know, he has alienated about half this league. Now, I still value Cris as a friend, but if he stays on my case, never can tell.
That's just you, of course.
Yeah, you know, he should know what's right and what's wrong. That's wrong to get on my case.
Okay, I see how this year's going to go.
I think Jimmy's got it a little wrong. You've alienated more than half the league, haven't you?
Oh, thank you for that. I'm getting triple teamed now here. Stop laughing, Joe.
What a world of difference in Miami from a year ago, Sam, where there was so much optimism with Johnson coming in his first year. Has anything changed down there?
Well, Jimmy's still optimistic. I don't want to say that he is not, but he's got to have this year's draft class do as well as last year's Zach Thomas and company did. You know, he only had one way to go with the cap problems that he had. He had to do it with the draft and with affordable free agents.
And it's interesting, too, Greg, that this is really the first time that Jimmy Johnson has gone on record as saying, all right, we now admit it. We really can't run the football. We now know what everybody else has been telling me all along. Give it to Dan Marino. Let him throw the football around. But really, for Jimmy, don't screw it up today. Or
alienate the rest of the league. We'll be back in just a moment.
Coming up next, we'll hear from Patriots quarterback Drew Bledsoe on his sometimes stormy relationship with Bill Parcells.
A men behaving badly dating tip. Never date anyone prettier than you are.
I'm not going anywhere with you looking like that.
That hurts. Almost as much as the bikini wax.
You got a bikini wax?
Hello, I'm wearing a thong.
Men behaving badly, followed by Jenny McCarthy this fall on NBC. This fall, Kirstie Alley's a former cover girl who's looking for a new image.
We use your head, and we put it on someone else's body.
Here's the real question. Do you enjoy your head being attached to your body?
Okay, pick one.
We've got Sienna.
Forget it.
Why? She's gorgeous. Yes, and it's about time somebody rejected her.
Kirstie Alley's back on NBC Thursdays this fall after Seinfeld.
This is Amber. No, forget it. Well, why? Because if you stuck my head on her body, she'd fall over.
This is a special presentation from NBC4, the Toyota Jets Report. And now, here's Len Berman.
And hi again, everyone. Welcome to the premiere edition of the Toyota Jets Report. We'll rejoin the NFL on NBC in just a few minutes. Coming up at 4 o'clock, the Jets open their season in Seattle. A victory today, they match their entire season total from last year. Of course, the 97 Jets feature a new coach, lots of new players, and they hope a healthy quarterback who knew the depths of despair last season.
There was a time where I was really frustrated and down and out. I mean, I came here thinking with all the changes we had and the personnel that things would be a lot greener, but they just didn't happen.
Big contract, big hopes. But 1996 was a forgettable year for Jets quarterback Neil O'Donnell. A pair of injuries kept him on the sidelines for 10 games and reduced him to being a witness to the worst season in franchise history.
4th and 5. O'Donnell, sack, Michael Strahan.
But with the hiring of Coach Bill Parcells, new hopes, new expectations have arrived. O'Donnell and his teammates will not be satisfied with moral victories.
Every time we step on the field, we go out there to win. I mean, you look at our preseason games, we weren't going out there just to, okay, let's try this, try that. We're going out there to win a football game. We're flying out to Seattle to win a football game, not to go out there and say, okay, we're going to just try to improve here or there. We're going out there to win, and that's what we're here for.
And perhaps no player on the field will feel the pressure to win more than the franchise quarterback.
There's always pressures on the quarterback to perform. I mean, and with the whole new coaching staff and the changes, you have to prove to them that you're the man here. So I think every time you step on the field, you're out there with pressure and a sense of purpose to show them what you're capable of doing. But you have to get it all away. One guy can't do it. I mean, I can't block them, catch it, do it. It's a team effort, and that's the great thing about this sport.
So when you're writing your book?
Probably when I'm retired, I'll write one for you.
We've had enough books written on this team already. The Jets went 4-0 this preseason, but now, of course, it counts. And after last year's dismal record, what should Jet fans expect in '97? We asked the players how many games they thought they'd win.
I mean, we can't say we're going to go out there and win 16 games, 14 games. I mean, the whole team is going to show what we can do. So I can't just put a stamp on, okay, we'll win 11 games this year.
You can't say, well, you're going to win a certain amount of games because you don't know. No one knows. It's, one game you can lose, one game you can win. It turns around every single week in the NFL.
I don't want to put a number on that because then if I don't say 16-0, then I'm selling the team short.
So what do the real Jet experts think? We went to where else? The airport to find out.
Considering their schedule, since they were so bad last year, I think they'll win maybe about 9 games.
They just give Wayne Grbac the damn ball. They'll do just fine.
Okay, and that'll do it for this edition of the Toyota Jets Report. We will rejoin the NFL on NBC in just a moment. Be sure to join Mike Breen, James Lofton, and me at 4 o'clock from the Kingdome in Seattle as the Jets take on the Seahawks. Until then, thank you for watching and enjoy the game, everybody.
This Toyota Jets Report has been brought to you by your local Toyota dealer.
Can't follow your team from where you live? Now you can choose from up to 13 games a week. NFL Sunday Ticket. We've got your game.
No, baby, come on.
Ironically, Pete Carroll coached the New York Jets for one season. Now he succeeds Bill Parcells in New England, while Parcells takes over the Jets. By all accounts, that's good news for fifth-year quarterback Drew Bledsoe, who's been to 2 Pro Bowls, but didn't appreciate Parcells' abrasive style. Bledsoe and his teammates made it all the way to the Super Bowl last season before losing to the Packers, and this year they want to prove it wasn't just the coach. Jim Gray spoke with the Patriots quarterback.
Wake up, son! In the past, we were Bill Parcells' team, and that's where the vocal leadership came from. And with Pete and his style, I feel like there's some veteran players on this team, including myself, are going to be required to step up and take a little bit more of a role.
You bring up Bill Parcells. Are you trying to prove that this was more than Bill Parcells' team this year?
Well, I think so. I think the players on this team want to prove that we can continue to win football games now that Bill is gone. And I think that everybody on this team realizes that Bill had a large impact on this team and was one of the main reasons that we won football games. But he wasn't the only reason that we won.
There's no question about it. He's got this team in the right frame of mind. He's got them believing they're going to win every Sunday.
Did he get too much credit?
No, I mean, well, that's the way it is in the league. The quarterback and the head coach are going to get too much credit, too much blame, and that's just the way it is. So, yeah, he probably did get too much credit, but that's no different than any place else in the league.
My relationship with Pete is great. It's just there's a lot of give and take in that relationship, where before it was just a lot of take.
In an interview which is going to air a bit later on in this program, Cris Collinsworth talks to Bill Parcells, and Bill tells him that the last time that you two spoke, you said to Bill that you really appreciated playing for him and you thanked him.
Yeah.
How come your public comments have been so much different than what you told him privately?
Well, when I said that, it was on the field at Tulane when we were practicing for the Super Bowl, and I meant it, and I still do mean it. I've always said that I'm proud to have played for Bill, but I think that the immediate reaction that I had was probably the same that a lot of players on the team had, and that it was just that. How could he take off and leave after all that we've been through and done? You gotta let me throw at it, Bill. You gotta let me throw. Huh? You gotta let me throw there.
What has Pete done, specifically around practice, in the locker room, to change the atmosphere with the players and not have this motivation by fear, as has been explained by many of the Patriot players?
Well, Pete is a more approachable guy. He's more positive than Bill. Bill was a dictator, and that's the way he coaches, and it's Bill's way or the highway, and that's it. Pete is more approachable and more open to some ideas, but at the same time, times haven't changed as much as people think. Pete's still our head coach, and he still stresses the same things that Bill stressed as far as discipline, getting your job done, getting it done right, but it's just presented in a different manner.
Drew Bledsoe says a lot of meaningful things in that interview, a lot of things apparently from the heart. I find it hard to find fault with some of the things he said. You don't.
No, I really don't, because I don't think that Drew Bledsoe has any idea what Bill Parcells did for him, and that to me is the issue. I did the very first game that Drew Bledsoe, when he played for New England, Bill Parcells was his coach. He was an underclassman, he was young, he was green, he was a very nice kid. Bill has turned him into a tough, feisty, determined leader of a team that has a chance to win a Super Bowl, and Drew has no idea that Bill Parcells helped him get there.
Is that the way you see it, Joe?
I'll tell you what, I disagree with? This underlying theme, I think, from Drew Bledsoe that, hey, now I got a coach I can relate to and all that. Hey, Bull, what a player wants is somebody that can lead him, give him the tools around him, give him a defense, and let him win. That's what Bill Parcells did. And I tell you what, it happened to me when I left the Redskins. Now, Rippon says, hey, I got a coordinator I can relate to. Hey, who cares about relating? And I'll tell you what, Pete Carroll, watch out. You lose a couple of games, some of these comments can be made about you. I don't like these comments.
Sam, what about Pete Carroll's style? How's that going to play?
Well, let me tell you, there are lots of styles that win. Everybody's got their own style. But it's easier to start tough and then soften as your team needs to be, rather than start as too much of a player's coach and then try to get tough. As a general rule, percentage-wise, Those that try to be too much the player's coach, they're the first to fail. The dictators tend to survive.
All right, guys. Well, our Randy Cross will call the Patriots against the Chargers today in Foxborough. Randy, how do you see the change affecting Drew Bledsoe?
Well, you know, the Drew Bledsoe I talked to was very confident, kind of laid back, feet up on the desk, use the term we a lot. You know, this is our team. But, you know, from my standpoint, if this guy's so emotionally shackled the last 4 years, how did he pass for 14,000 yards, which is second only to Dan Marino? And, you know, what this guy needs is, I don't care if it's a designer tennis shoe from Pete Carroll or a steel-toed boot from Bill Parcells. If he does something wrong or loses his focus, somebody's got to kick him in the backside.
Randy, does it really matter whether a player likes his coach or not, as long as you appreciate what he's doing for you and the kind of guidance that he gives you?
Well, you know, I've loved all my coaches after I played for them. But while I was playing for them, you know, loving is not the first term that comes to mind. You've got to respect, in some cases, fear a guy. And in a lot of cases, you just want to flat out play for him. And the real thing in here in New England for Drew Bledsoe and the entire Patriots team is, you know, will they play for Pete Carroll?
All right, Randy, we love you too. We'll be back in just a moment.
Still to come, Bill Parcells talks to Cris Collinsworth about how things unraveled in New England. And we'll hear from Neil Smith of the Denver Broncos. Smith's new team opens the season against his former team, the Kansas City Chiefs.
Join us for America's most watched news magazine.
Dateline on NBC.
When it comes to getting in shape, the things we do to our bodies. We jar our joints, pound our limbs, and impact our bodies in ways that can wear us out, aging us before our time. Now, Nordic Track introduces a revolutionary way to get an outstanding aerobic workout without the jarring impact. The new Ellipse, the innovative in-home fitness machine that pioneers the use of elliptical motion. Elliptical motion makes the Ellipse a real fitness breakthrough, one that's better for your body. If the human body were suspended in air, you'd see that it naturally moves in a non-jarring elliptical path. The Nordic Track Ellipse simulates this natural elliptical motion, virtually eliminating harmful impact. But high-impact machines like treadmills cut the body's natural motion short, causing impact to the ankles, knees, hips, and back. The Ellipse is a real advancement in fitness. It works both arms and legs for an outstanding total body workout without all the jarring impact. That's why it's the shape that's better for your body. The Ellipse Total Body Exerciser does it all in one fun, easy, and natural motion. With all these features, the patent-pending Ellipse gives you a better workout designed to keep you motivated so you'll see results. Dual rotation lets you work different muscle groups for added variety. Work quads and hips in the forward mode, or glutes and hamstrings in the backward mode. Adjustable elevation lets you push your workouts to the limit. And when you're done, the Ellipse folds and rolls away for easy storage. Call Nordic Track now to get a free video and brochure with complete details on the new Ellipse. Find out how you can own the Ellipse for as low as $29.95 a month. Try the Ellipse in your home for 30 days. If you're not completely satisfied, simply return the Ellipse for a refund. Your satisfaction is guaranteed. Call now. Discover the new shape in fitness. The new Nordic Track Ellipse. It's the shape that's better for your body.
We're America.
Staples, the office superstore, presents the Staples Coach of the Week program. Each week, your school can win $5,000 in school supplies from Staples and a visit from your NFL head coach. For the next 17 weeks, we'll be announcing the winning coach and school right here on the NFL on NBC. To nominate your school, print your name, address, school name, and your local NFL team on a 3x5 card and mail it to Staples Coach of the Week program, Post Office Box 2242, Framingham, Massachusetts. After 9 stellar seasons in Kansas City, defensive end Neil Smith is now playing for one of the Chiefs' biggest rivals, the Denver Broncos. Ironically, Smith's first game is against his former team. He spoke about that with Bob Costas.
I will not be returning to the Kansas City Chiefs.
Neil, let's give you a chance here to state your side. In the view of many, you made a mistake. You and your agent, Eugene Parker, made a mistake, misplayed your hand in Kansas City, wound up here in Denver, no disrespect to this organization, but for a bit over $1 million on a one-year contract loaded with incentives, when you could have had a $5 million signing bonus and a bigger total package in Kansas City.
We've never was offered a $5 million signing bonus. That's ludicrous because
that was never stated to me by Eugene, and I'm sure it never was brought up. I would never turn down a $5 million signing bonus to go anywhere.
Neil and his agent were pretty adamant they wanted to test the free agency market, so that's what they are afforded to do at this particular time.
Carl Peterson told me that the signing bonus offered was $5 million. That's back last November. A low first-year number for salary cap reasons, something just under $1 million, and nothing guaranteed beyond that. But if you played all the years of their contract offer, the package was worth more than $20 million.
You don't know Carl Peterson like I do. That is not the truth.
So you're saying he's lying about it?
That is not the truth.
Looking at it from the outside, some people are going to say, maybe Neil Smith should talk to his agent about this. If he winds up in Denver with a lesser offer than he could have taken in Kansas City, even if it wasn't quite the offer he hoped for, it still winds up being the best offer out there. And that was his team, and that's where his loyalties were. Doesn't he have a gripe with his agent over this?
I don't think that Eugene would ever keep anything back to get me out of Kansas City. He knew exactly what all I had there, and he knew that I didn't want to leave. But then when it came to a decision, then it really hit me, and then I really knew that I was moving.
This is the locker room, and that's Neil Smith. We like him when he's good and mean.
You and Derek Thomas were one of the great duos in recent NFL history. Was part of the problem the fact that Derek Thomas, who was younger than you, was offered more money by Kansas City than they offered you?
You know, I made a decision that I wanted to do that. It was fine for me, but you have to look at it from my side. What they offered me, it didn't even mount up to Derek Thomas' signing bonus.
Do you think John Elway might be the happiest guy in Denver about this deal? I mean, after all, you made a good part of your reputation tormenting John Elway twice a year for almost a decade.
He respected me, there's no doubt. He came to me personally, and he said, you know, I'm so glad that I have you off of my back.
You said recently, I'm going to have to go find someone else to hunt now that you and Elway are on the same team. Who might that someone else be?
Wouldn't you like to know?
I'm thinking Elvis Grbac might be target number one.
He's first up.
Free agency can either make you rich or it can confuse you.
And there's some confused people here, no question about it. I talked to Carl Peterson this week. He said, oh, yeah, I offered that $5 million signing bonus, despite the fact that Neil Smith didn't have a very good year last year. He also spoke of trying to re-sign Neil Smith after this season in Denver, but Joe, after Neil called him a liar, I don't think that one's going to happen.
I don't think so. One of the things I really is distasteful about pro sports is when the money gets so big, everybody gets an agent. Then sometimes what the agent does is drive a wedge between the player and the organization. Don't talk to them. Let me negotiate. I tell you what, as a coach, I never used to let that happen. I always kept communication. I'd put them to bed at night. I'd wake them up in the morning. I wanted them to know I loved them. Hey, come back. I'm going to get fired.
Head coach and babysitter, Joe Gibbs.
That's right. Well, maybe not the best deal financially, but it does give Neil Smith a better shot at getting to the Super Bowl. The NFL and NBC continues in just a moment.
Coming up next, we'll check on some of the other games of note around the NFL, including the big interconference game in Pittsburgh between the Steelers and the Dallas Cowboys.
Adamstown, Pennsylvania, a true story. At a flea market, a man bought a frame for $4. When he brought it home, he made a $2 million discovery, an original copy of the Declaration of Independence. When it comes to retirement, you can depend on luck or you can depend on us, Sun America. Ask about our personal retirement portfolios and don't leave your future to chance. Sun America, the retirement specialist.
American Express Small Business Services. How can I help you?
How can I help you?
Right. We only work with small businesses.
Why don't we start with your cash flow?
And our equipment financing plan will help spread out the payments.
That'll definitely give you more flexibility.
How about setting up a line of credit?
We can do that.
Then I'll put you in touch with one of our CPAs so you can start getting ready for tax time.
That's not a problem.
We can always make adjustments when your situation changes.
Call to find out how American Express Small Business Services can help you do more.
The NFL on NBC is brought to you by American Express. Wherever you are, whatever you're doing, American Express helps you do more. By Pringles, so fresh, once you pop, you can't stop. And by Nicorette Gum, you can do it, Nicorette can help.
Let's talk about some of the NFC and interconference games, beginning with the best of those matchups. Dallas in Pittsburgh to play the Steelers. Sam, the Dallas Cowboys have the toughest schedule in the NFL this year. Their opponents last year won 60% of their games. This is a great battle of good matchups.
And in Pittsburgh, even tougher. The big story, that I think one of the most exciting stories in the league is Cordell Stewart. Now, he's coming off of that knee. He can't pivot very well, I understand. So we could see this guy actually back in the shotgun. Actually, in the end, it may help him a little bit. Keep him in that pocket, not as much scrambling. On the other side of the ball, though, Chad Scott is going to replace Rod Woodson for the first time. Right off the bat, he's got Michael Irvin, he's got Anthony Miller going deep. Could be a long afternoon for the defensive backfield of the Pittsburgh Steelers.
I don't think that Cordell Stewart will be the story today in Pittsburgh. It's Jerome Bettis going up against a Dallas defense that without Leon Lett at the end of last season, we saw that they really struggled trying to stop the run. I think this is a tremendous matchup for the Pittsburgh Steelers. I think they're going to win this game today.
All right, San Francisco at Tampa Bay. And, Sam, as you very well know, only 2 winning seasons in the history of that franchise in Tampa.
Thank you, Ahmad.
You do know that.
Do I ever know it? Well, you know, finally, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have a coach that can put this team together, and one guy that's going to make them very exciting and make Tony Dungy a better coach is a guy named Warwick Dunn. Watch this guy this year.
And talking about coaches, Joe, what about out there in San Francisco?
Well, I think this is one of the real stories, too. I really felt like the front office kind of took Seifert and kind of more or less encouraged him to leave. They took a big gamble here, I think. Mariucci, I think, has very little coaching experience, and I think no matter what you do with your players, your coach is a big deal. This is a big deal, and I think the 49ers are going to struggle.
What about Kevin Green, the acquisition of Kevin Green?
Kevin Green, I love, and that'll be something that will help them today. They probably got enough for Tampa Bay, but I'm not sure about some of the other teams on their schedule down the road.
Speaking of coaches, as you were, our good friend Mike Ditka opens in St. Louis. Ditka returns after 4 seasons away. He goes against Dick Vermeil, who has been away for 14 seasons. What is the effect on a team under a brand-new head coach on opening day?
Both these coaches right now, believe me, they're so tight, they can't even breathe. I can see that Ditka right now. And you know what the teams do, really? They react to the coaches. They really do. I think both these teams are going to be tight, believe me. And I'll tell you this, we're going to have a lot more fun today than Dick is.
but you know, Joe, Mike has done down there already what he said he would do, and he's made that into a running football team. Unfortunately, he still has Heath Schuler playing quarterback. I don't think Mike will trust him throwing the ball at all today. On the other side, Dick Vermeil and Lawrence Phillips trying to run the ball. They haven't been able to run at all, period. So it'll be Tony Banks in throwing game against the New Orleans Saints running the football.
All right, a couple of my teams. I actually didn't own them, but I played for them. Minnesota and Buffalo. No Jim Kelly this year for Buffalo.
No, and Todd Collins, since being named the starting quarterback, really has not been very sharp at all. They're going to have to rely on their running game today as well. But that's good news because on the other side of the ball, the Minnesota Vikings last year were the worst team in football stopping the run.
All right, Chris, we'll be back in just a moment.
Up next, Cris Collinsworth's visit with new Jets head coach Bill Parcells when the NFL on NBC continues.
When we decided to have a baby, we knew we had to stop smoking first.
We had the motivation. We needed the help.
We chose Nicorette gum because it was flexible. Gave us a choice of 2 strengths, one for light smokers, me.
One for heavy smokers, me.
And the power to decide, how much to use and when to use it to fight our cravings.
We've been officially smoke-free for a year now.
And in gratitude, we're thinking of calling the baby Nicorette. It's a joke, honey.
Nicorette gum will help you quit smoking successfully by helping you control your cravings. You can do it. Nicorette can help.
I got a special treat for you.
Thank you, Mommy.
You're welcome. Now, don't be late, honey.
Good news. Reese's Nutrageous bars.
No more than a somewhat educated guess. Those who trust it often wind up in the wrong place at the wrong time. Unlike others, we don't rely on reports of clear skies or dark skies in the market. Our mutual funds rely on simple, clear strategies that seek performance through discipline. We have no use for weather reports. We are not in the guessing business.
But I know he thinks about it. That's why he uses Pantene Pro V. The Pro improving hair, keeping it looking really healthy, shiny, strong. Pantene Pro V for hair so healthy.
Better grab a cool one. We've hit the big 9-5, and it's only getting hotter.
Can't follow your team from where you live? Now you can choose from up to 13 games a week. NFL Sunday Ticket. We've got your game.
Dan Marino of the Dolphins getting set to begin his 15th season in Miami. He faces the Colts today at home. That's one of the early games on this doubleheader day. Among the late games, most of you will see the AFC West battle in Denver between the Broncos and the Chiefs. Greg?
Thanks, Ahmad. Another of our late games today is the New York Jets in Seattle to take on the Seahawks. The Bill Parcells era gets underway. There is little doubt that Parcells is a great coach, but despite taking the Patriots to the Super Bowl last year, things fell apart between Parcells and owner Bob Kraft. Cris Collinsworth spoke with Parcells.
Bob and I agreed a long time ago that we would go through this year and we would discuss the situation about the future when the season's over. Accordingly, my employment agreement dated January 21st, 1993, as amended, terminates today on January 31st, 1997. Contrary to what's been said, I need someone to help get me players, okay? I need a guy. That's all I've ever wanted, somebody to get me the players so I can coach the players. So I think I have that in place here.
So you don't want to be the personnel guy?
No, I want to be the guy that helps, okay, that tells the personnel guy, these are the kinds of players that I want on this team. Bring these kinds of players to me, okay, and then we'll make a decision on those kinds of players.
Is that where the gap was in New England, that there wasn't that communication?
No, everything was fine in New England in terms of the personnel man there. Bobby Greer, I had no problem with him. He knew kind of what I wanted. We were there. I was there 3 years doing it basically with Bobby's assistant, and then when we made the change where Bobby kind of had the final say on things, really things weren't too much different then.
So much said and so much written about the situation there. I called the very first game that you coached there, Drew Bledsoe, his first game. Bob Kraft idolized you, just thought you were the greatest football coach of all time. By the end of it, on a personal and professional level, there were problems, and clearly that led to the end. When you look back on it now, do you have a feel for what went wrong?
I don't think too much of anything went wrong. The team was 9-39 the 3 years before I got there, and the year I left, we were playing for the league championship. Now I think most people would say that was progress. I'm not sure that all would, but I think most would say that was progress.
There's no question that you accomplished what you set out to do there. I think as a fan and as an outside observer, it's a very unique situation where a man who has coached that team and created that sort of turnaround is then more or less not in that situation anymore because of, at least my opinion, a personal relationship between the owner and the coach. Could that have been averted? Was there a moment that you just said, I can't believe what's happening here?
There were many moments when I said that. Probably not. Could it have been averted? Probably not.
The one that maybe surprises me even more than the relationship with the owner, Bob Kraft, is the relationship with Drew Bledsoe. Do you think there'll come a time when he'll look back on his relationship with you differently than he does now?
Well, I can only go by what he's told me. And the last thing he ever said to me is, I want you to know I really appreciated playing for you. That's the last words Drew's ever said to me.
Why then do you think that in the media...
Now the media, that's separate and distinct. All I'll say about Drew is this. He did a good job for me at New England. And I think I also helped him. And I'll just leave it at that.
My gut feeling on the situation there was that between Bob Kraft and Drew Bledsoe, they sort of decided that they wanted to go another direction with a coach. Agree or disagree? Do you think there was a little...
I have no comment on it. It's over with. What's the use? I'm coaching the Jets, 1997. What's the use?
Bill Parcells. Chris, did you come away from that interview thinking anything differently than when you went in?
No, not really. I think that there are a lot of people who can coach the Patriots today, and certainly Pete Carroll will do a good job. But there were probably only 2 or 3 coaches in all the world even that could have turned that Patriots organization around, and Bill Parcells got it done.
Joe?
I think Bill Parcells has a formula for winning. Part of that formula is to control the draft and personnel. And every time he's had problems with the Giants, and then when there's a change of ownership and in New England, he had problems when somebody else started fooling with the personnel. He made sure when he got the Jet job, he's going to control that thing, and I think that bodes well for the Jets' future.
Okay, there is a lot of optimism in the Jets camp this year, but they open in Seattle, Sam, where I don't believe enough people have been talking about a Seahawks team that has improved every year under Dennis Erickson.
They did an awful lot in the offseason with free agency. A lot of energy in that stadium today. Paul Allen, the new owner, there's no more worries about where they're going somewhere else or a new stadium. But it's a tough place for the New York Jets to have to go in there and win it. You know, I picked the New York Jets to be the Eastern Division champion of the AFC. It's a long shot. I just wipe that look off your face.
Hiding.
Wow. Long shot, but if it hits,
selling out on it.
Dinner's on you guys.
We'll remind you, we're back with the Honda Pick of the Week right after this.
What's up? I'm thirsty. Anything else? Nope.
U.S. gold medalist Mia Hamm spends 90 minutes destroying her hair and 90 seconds bringing it back with Pert Plus. More than a shampoo, it conditions too. How? As you shampoo, the conditioners stay suspended. As you rinse, the conditioners go to work, giving you great hair simply. Perfect for Mia, because she wants great hair, but she'd rather be living in it than working on it. Wouldn't you? Pert Plus. Simply great hair. Simply.
Mike Ditka for 1-800-COLLECT.
Hey, come on, ladies! Hey, get mad! Make believe I just insulted your mama. Or make believe I just traded you. Make believe I just called you collect without using 1-800-COLLECT.
Hey, he could have saved us up to 44% with 1-800-COLLECT.
Stop, guys. I was only kidding. Stop.
1-800-COLLECT. Save up to 44%.
It's the most wonderful time of the year.
It's that time of year again. They're going back. It's back to school time at Staples. Over 7,000 supplies at guaranteed low prices.
It's the most wonderful time of the year.
Staples. Yeah, we got that.
These days, we could all use more endurance. Say about 24 hours worth. I know I could. And now I've got it. Because now the Odor Fighters, the new high-endurance deodorant, lasts even longer. New high endurance lasts a full 24 hours. No one else is this strong, this long. Plus, it's got this new Pure Sports scent. So now you can smell better, longer. Guaranteed. Or call 1-800-PROVE-IT, and Old Spice will buy you a stick of yours. Hey, no matter what you're into, now you've got all the endurance you need. A full 24 hours. Guaranteed.
The Pick of the Week is brought to you by American Honda, maker of fine quality automobiles, motorcycles, and power equipment.
Once again, the good folks from Honda will donate $25,000 to the winner of our season-long picks competition. Sam is playing for the St. Jude's Children's Hospital. Joey's playing for U4 tomorrow. Chris for Camp Stepping Stones. Last year's winner, Will McDonough, the Joey Fund. Greg, the March of Dimes. And I'm playing for the United Negro College Fund. Greg?
All right, Ahmad, here are today's picks. Will McDonough is going against Mike Ditka and the Saints. Isaac Bruce, by the way, won't suit up for the Rams because of a hamstring injury. Both Sam and Joe like the Raiders on the road. Chris likes the Jaguars over the Ravens. Ahmad feels the Giants will lose at home. And I'll go with the Carolina Panthers over the Redskins. What, Joe?
Okay, well, I'm calling Ditka on this one. He's going against Mike Ditka.
Yeah, we noticed you didn't pick with Mike. Starting next week, we will pick all the games online at www.nbcsports.com. We invite you to play along with us anytime this week. Go to www.nbcsports.com. Look for the NFL and NBC interactive icon to get registered to play. There is no charge, and you'll be able to track where you rank nationally with your picks on your home computer. That does it for us for now. We'll see you at halftime. The NFL on NBC continues after these messages from your local station.
What does this cop show have in common with all the others coming this fall? Nothing. Players coming NBC Fridays.
You're watching footage that's never been seen before. Actual nuclear bomb tests, airbursts, underwater explosions, even the bomb itself. In accordance with the Secretary of Energy's openness policy, these scenes and many more have just been declassified and are now available on home video.
We deal with classified footage all of the time, and I can tell you we've never seen anything like this.
Own this historic collection of video, detonations, troop tests, accidents, scientists caught unprepared, the shock waves, the tidal surges, all of it fully narrated. Order America's Atomic Bomb Test. If you enjoy history, weapons, or military aviation, we urge you to order now. There has been nothing like this before.
Call 1-800-493-9559 now to order this exciting, recently declassified footage of America's atomic bomb testing for only $19.95 plus $3.75 shipping and handling. That's 1-800-493-9559.
My name is Jenny, and I'm Jen's best friend, Maggie.
And I'll be playing Jen's dead father. Hunt my life, but keep my tan. We must be Jenny, and Maggie Jen, we love her madly.
Right after men behaving badly. Watch me, I'm Jenny after men. NBC.
Sunday nights.
The NFL on NBC returns for those of you who will see only a late game today. Among our late games, Denver plays host to divisional rival Kansas City.
This is it. This is it. The season has begun, baby.
Last year, Denver posted an AFC best 13-3 record.
I think if we work hard and we play hard, we're as good as anybody. But that doesn't guarantee that we'll win every game.
There are some new faces in Kansas City, but the familiar one belonging to Neil Smith is gone.
I'm happy here in Denver. I'm here for a year. I want to prove to no one but Neil Smith that this is a year for you. And I'm just going to take each game by game, one at a time.
The Parcells era opens the regular season after going unbeaten in the preseason.
We've been able to protect a couple of leads in preseason so far. And those are just things that you hope the team takes with it into the course of the regular season.
Injured wide receiver Joey Galloway is a hopeful starter for Week 1. With the loss of Mark Brunell, Rob Johnson is the Jaguars' starting quarterback, and he faces a veteran Baltimore squad.
Yeah, I think they're going to come after us. You know, Rob's first NFL start, regular season. So I would imagine they have some good speed at linebackers. I imagine they'd come after us.
Stay tuned. It all takes place later today on the NFL and NBC. That Kansas City-Denver game, you know, all the changes and everything, you can usually throw those things out the window when it comes to a fierce rivalry.
That's right. And Elvis Grbac, the quarterback for the Chiefs today, grew up in Cleveland watching John Elway beat his beloved Browns. Today, his chance for a little revenge.
All right, Sam, your New York Jets against the Seattle Seahawks.
A lot of conversation about Bill Parcells. Now the players play the game. Dennis Erickson poised to move to that next level.
And Jacksonville and Baltimore, what do you think, Joe?
Well, I tell you what, both these teams can throw the football, but I think that it's the team that can run the football the best that's going to win this football game, and they need to pick it up. Baltimore threw away a lot of second-half leads last year because they couldn't run.
All right, thanks, Joe. We'll see you at 4 o'clock Eastern Time with one of these 3 games. Enjoy your day, everyone.